see how it goes. So yeah, I'm basically everyone here. I'm making a movie of this, so you know that your voices will be heard, and will be recorded, and may be put on YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
If I make the movie, I won't edit it. All right. Or if I do edit it, I'll edit it solely for my own purposes. Okay. So no naughty words, unless you like using them, in which case that's okay. So basically, using Word can make writing a thesis a hell of a lot easier, and then not only that, it's that you can do a lot of the formatting things and a lot of the ways of navigating your document and finding out about where you're going with your document and constructing your document as an argument to put forward to someone else to read. Okay? So for me, basically at the end of the day, as a research student or researcher, what you're doing is putting forward an argument to someone else to hopefully have them agree that your idea is a good idea. Okay? So, and you're doing it in a written text. You don't have the chance to talk with them about what you're talking about. They don't look at your eyes and understand that when you said, "Oh, I really thought that was good," what you're really meaning is, "No, I didn't like it at all." Okay? So you have to use things you have to be quite clear. So what we'll do, I think I've gave you that list of things that we'll be going through, like how to use headings. For me, headings and styles are the most important thing that you can get a handle on. Okay? They'll make your world so much easier. Possibly not just in writing your thesis, but they're incredibly useful. We'll go through using cross-references. We'll go through using styles, which is also part of the headings. We'll go through using captions. Those are probably the three main things that you'll need to do during your thesis, okay? Or during the write-up of your thesis. Is that okay? Anyone got any questions at the moment? Cool. So there's a whole bunch of shaking heads then for you who are not here at the moment. So, all right, let's just start off with the heading. Oh, firstly, click on the page. Okay, so that's the topic of today. But when you're writing your, well, let's actually put in a few more things. Let's say using headings, using styles, adding captions. What else have we got? Cross-referencing. Okay. So these are the things that we're going to be talking about today, all right? So when you're writing your thesis, you'll usually have a heading for it, then you'll have chapters, and they'll all have names, like chapter 1, I'm awesome, chapter 2, I really am, chapter 3, you didn't believe it but now you do, whatever, however you wanted to title your chapters. But what's really, really handy in this process is actually changing those words from just what's called normal text here, so you can see that up there, it's called normal, to other headings, okay? Now, I don't particularly like using this particular area of Word. Can everyone kind of access that bit on their copy of Word? I prefer to use the styles panel, or styles pane, which is there. And as you can see currently, this is in a style called normal, all right? But what I'd like to do is make this my main heading. So I'm just going to highlight that bit and click heading 1, and it changes it to that style. Is everyone kind of good with that? Okay. These ones, they're sort of subheadings, so I'm going to call them heading 2. Okay. So what's really cool with this is there's my heading 1. If I wanted it to be my main title, I could have given it a title, called it a title. I just clicked on it like that. But instead, I'm just going to keep it as a heading 1 because I want this to be within my document. All right? So, using Word to write your thesis. This is really useful. Okay? The stuff below is useful too.
Can I just ask, that
Yeah,
this
sure.
heading 1 and 2 for main heading and subheading, and then it turns blue.
Why does it turn blue?
Yeah.
We'll get to that any second now. I'm just going to fill
that
it.
document now, will it be black or?
It'll be whatever colour I want it to be. I just have to make it what colour I want it to be. Okay? But at the moment, this is the heading, and this is why they're called styles. Okay? So what's happened here is I've called this thing. I'll get to that, but I just want to show you a little bit more.
Yeah.
Using Word to write your thesis. This is really useful stuff. The stuff below is really useful too. Then I can go to headings. Have you noticed when I actually do a carriage return after that heading, my heading 2, it immediately goes to normal style up here. Okay? Okay?
Shall I read that out from the audio?
Hopefully they can see me writing at the moment. But yes, that was a good thing. A great way to organise your document and to okay. So I put this last one in to organise your thinking, and I think like everyone actually goes about figuring out what they want to say in different ways. For me, I like to kind of go, what am I interested in? I'm interested in using Word to write my thesis. Then I'll probably come up with a bunch of questions like, why would Word be good for me to use? What other things that Word can offer me as when I'm writing my thesis? Are there other options than Word? And what I could do is just make those as a list for questions for me to answer. Okay? So, and that's what I mean with this bit about and to organise your thinking. I can actually kind of just start spewing ideas onto the page, and then I can rearrange them really easily. Okay? Styles. Styles are really good because you can change them. Your question, okay? Captions. Gives a name to a picture. Okay?
Okay, so captions, that means the text under the image.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Cross-referencing. How to find stuff in your document. Okay? That's for cross-referencing. Now, we had that question about why has this come out blue? Okay? This is because that's what Microsoft Word thinks you should do. Okay? Now, here's the magic of styles. So see how I've got my heading 1 style here, which is this heading. This heading is called heading 2. This bit here is called normal. Okay? So let's just say I was feeling incredibly artistic at the moment, and what I decided was I would like heading 1 to be modified in some way. Okay? If you're having trouble seeing this, just move closer. So I'm going to click on Modify Style, and it gives me a whole lot of things that I can use to modify my style. All right? So let's just say I didn't really want it to be blue, I wanted it to be red. I can click on that. And let's just say I also wanted it to be, what's an Apple Chancery? I can click on that as my new fonts for my style, okay? Now I can click OK, and look what happens. It changes. Isn't that awesome? Okay? Now, this is because I'm feeling really arty. I've decided to do that. Now, I'll just go, I also don't like the blue heading for heading 2. Okay? So I'm going to click on that and do exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same. Okay? Click on heading 2, modify style. Here we go. In this case, I'm going to make it, let's make it purple, just for the sake of being arty. And let's change it to brush script, M7. All right? And let's make it 26 size font. Okie dokie. All right, and look what happened. Every other style changed. Okay? Really, really handy. All right? I could just decide, nah, that looks like maybe it's not going to go over well with my supervisor. They're going to go, why have you changed this to purple and such a wussy looking font? So I might just go back into that and go modify style. And let's just say change it to black and to Calibri, and let's say drop it down to a 12-point font. Oh, actually, maybe it'll be better because everything else is a 12-point font, so I'll make it a 14-point font. So it's just a tiny weeny little bit bigger. Okay?
Are we likely to have specific instructions for heading titles and subheadings?
The best thing for you to do is talk to your supervisor about the specific style that you've got. What is quite likely to happen is your supervisor will say, oh, I'm not really sure. So then the best thing for you to do is be totally consistent.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Consistency wins. All right? And think about the reader of this document, of your document, is probably going, why did I say yes to this thing? The money's just not good enough, and I have to kind of read through this arcane language and all that sort of stuff. And then if they're doing that and they're wondering why one heading was in Apple Chancery and then the next heading was in Times, that they're going to think, why? And their mind's going to go, why have they changed headings? Not, this is an interesting argument this person is putting forward. All right? So the idea is you're there to convince someone that your idea is a really good idea. Don't distract them. Best thing, just don't distract them. Don't be clever. Don't be an artist when you're making art. Be a researcher when you're writing up your research. Okay? So I'm going to change that to a 14-point black. And there, look, they've all gone like that. Isn't that awesome? Okay? But now, I might look at this and think, well, it kind of looks a little bit confusing. So what I'd like is a bit more of a gap just before these headings. All right? So again, click on the heading, go to modify style, and there we have it. Now I can increase or decrease the entire the space on either side of the document, on either side of the heading, the top or the bottom of the heading. But what I want to do, because I'm a little bit kind of arty, is just maybe make it so that there's a gap before the heading, and the heading is really closely connected to the stuff that comes immediately afterwards. Okay, so to do that, I'll just click on this little down arrow here which says Format, and there's a whole bunch of other things that I can do here. Okay, so like if I wanted to, I could go to the font bit and I could have a strike through, I could have it hidden, I can make it all caps, small caps, make it superscript, subscript, I could underline it, something's in advanced, I can scale it, I can change the ligature, which is the distance between letters, all that sort of stuff. I think it's the distance between letters. I can do all sorts of stuff with it. So this sort of thing is really, really handy, particularly for when you're sitting in front of your thesis at 1 o'clock in the morning going, I'm so bored, what can I do? And that's when you can have fun doing things like, I wonder what would happen if everything was changed to Zap Dingbats. That would be fun, wouldn't it? And then you can look at that and go, no, it should be a bit more sensible than that. So this is with fonts. I'm just going to cancel that because I don't want to change the font. Paragraph, let's see what that says. I can do some stuff where I can put an indentation before the text if I wanted to, or I could put some spacing. I've got a 2-point spacing above it. So let's just see what happens if I give it, say, a 12-point spacing above that particular heading. Okay? Click on OK. OK. And there it is. I've got a 12-point spacing before each heading 2. Yep.
I think it's easier to do that. Just keep everything at 0. And when you make it down, put it into 1, 2, instead of having 12 spacing and then not 0.
If that works for you, that's great. Cool.
I mean, it just looks similar.
Yeah, well, if that works for you, that's great. Okay. There is one thing that's really important to remember, is that it's best not to use carriage returns between paragraphs. Just don't do that.
What does that mean?
That means, say, if this is a paragraph, don't go like that to start the next paragraph. Okay? Don't put carriage returns between paragraphs. Why not? Because you can actually put spaces between paragraphs using styles, and that's much better. Word thinks a carriage return is actually a whole start of a whole new thing. It's probably a good way to look at it. Okay? And we'll have a look at where this can form problems a bit further down the track. This is all kind of integrated. All right? So let's just say I wanted to have a bigger gap between each paragraph. Okay? What I can do is go to Normal, click on Modify Style, and then I can actually see these little up and down arrows here. They can put increase or decrease the gap between each paragraph. Okay?
How do you define a paragraph?
It has a carriage return at the end of it. Not between paragraphs, at the end of the paragraph, it's a good place to put a carriage return. Do not go carriage return, I want a gap, carriage return, start again. Go carriage return, end of paragraph, start next paragraph. Okay? So as you can see, now that I've done this, headings make your writing easier is a really good idea not to use carriage returns between paragraphs for a large number of reasons. Okay? See how between this paragraph and this paragraph there is now a gap. Okay? I've got that gap. That gap's there. So it's going to be easy to see. Alright? So that's kind of a good way to kind of make your document visually interesting, or visually easier to navigate. Okay? So what I might do, these are basically the things that we're going to be looking at, but what I can do now is have a look at some documents, some pre-existing documents that we can have a look, we can kind of set up to make it easy to navigate and easy to work with. Okay? So we can stop at the end of that so that it knows that it's actually the end of the paragraph. I'll just pop this one to the back. And here we have this document called How Not to Write Your Thesis. It's a guide by Tara Brabazon. It gives the top 10 tips to doctoral failure from January 28, 2010. Okie dokie. I do share it with a lot of my students. It's pretty useful. It's got pictures in it, more pictures, this sort of stuff, all good. Let's just click on that button there to see what's happening between paragraphs. Oh, you can see what she's done is actually automate a gap between each paragraph, okay? I'll just click on the styles pane here to see which style we're using for everything. So this is called normal. And see how that normal has turned itself into Helvetica new RGB 76. It's kind of given it a whole lot of data about it. What I could do is say, if I wanted to, I could say, the journal that I'm writing for has specified that I write in 10-point times. Okay? If you ever write for journals, they will be very specific about how you should format your documents. Okay? And it will be things like, we want, the first heading should be a 12-point times in bold. The first paragraph should be indented by 2 centimetres or by 1 centimetre, and all subsequent paragraphs under that heading should not be indented but should have a 6-point gap between them. So you'll get all this information, but you'll just be told to do it. And you can quite easily be in a situation, I do a lot of reviewing for different journals and conferences, and one of the questions you get asked is, did they follow the formatting standards? And if you write no, that's probably the first step to making sure that your paper isn't published. Okay? It indicates a couple of things. One is you can't read the instructions. Second is you couldn't be bothered reading the instructions. Okay? And the reason that they're doing this is because they'll have their one document, which maybe has 15 articles in it. They don't want to have to be going through and fixing up your formatting. Okay? So you're quite likely to have your absolutely genius piece of work, just have someone go, yeah, maybe, but they didn't follow the formatting. Bing! Gone. You've lost. Okay? But they will always come up with the rules that they want you to follow. Okay. So let's just say, in this particular case, we would like everything that's called normal to go back to being, well, modify the style, and let's say we want it all to be not Avenir Book, but we'll go to Times New Roman, and 10-point. Okie dokie. Click OK. Still trying to figure it out for me. Oh, looks like I'll have to do this again. Having a bit of trouble at the moment. What I might have to do in this particular case, because this is something that I actually took off the web and copied and pasted into my document. All right, so that's okay. Let's just have a go at doing this with font or normal. Okay. Add it to quick style list. And add it to the template. Ta-da! This is not working all that well. So,
Is all that writing off the net? Is there anything that was from Word doc?
oh no, this has all just come off the net.
Okay.
That's okay. So this is stuff that what I could do. What I could do just to fix it is just go Command All, clear formatting, and that's just cleared all the formatting. Yeah. Okay. So now it's probably got rid of all the formatting things that Word had put in there. Like Word actually did go, we want this to be Helvetica new, this particular colour, this particular thing, and it was all put into the document. I just go and clear formatting, got rid of all of that stuff.
So would it be useful, because I started originally with different documents for each chapter,
Yep.
and then integrated them into one,
Yep.
and I noticed that the formatting isn't consistent.
Yep.
So, like, selecting the entire thing and clearing the format, starting again would solve that?
It could make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
You have to decide, it's kind of time. There may be a different solution,
Okay.
but if that was me, I'd be thinking it would, how many words are in your document?
Like now there's 17,000.
17.
Yep.
So that's not that many words, which is good.
Okay.
But then what I'd do is highlight that and then go just clear formatting.
Right.
If it was 60,000 words,
Yep.
I'd be saying it could probably take you 3 or 4 hours of very concentrated work to clear formatting and then put the formatting back in that you want. Or it might take you 3 or 4 hours to find the solution on the internet and then find out if it works or not. You know, it's that kind of time thing. This is a way I think other people think differently, so it's just the way I go about doing this sort of stuff.
I like clear formatting.
Yeah, clear formatting is good, but what it did do was clear the formatting of absolutely everything. Okay.
And then you have to go back and make this place.
Well, I just have to go. I remember this was a heading 1. Okay. In this, we'll call that that's normal. That's fine. Now we have this. Read more. Let's make that a heading 2. Okay.
So what, in terms of how you work, how do you make space over the image and under the genre?
A space over the image and under the image. Well,
You don't press anything.
I don't do this.
You don't do that?
No.
Okay, what do you do?
What I would do there is, hey,
I don't know too much your work as much, but
Yeah.
that cover my lot.
okay,
We can move that back to start publishing because anyone might go with that.
Yeah. Thanks. So if what I wanted to do was put a gap before and after my paragraphs, can you remember what I'd do for that? Yeah. Highlight a paragraph. Go, let's change it to normal. So this is currently called normal. Go to modify style. There we are. Now, let's just say I want a gap before and after the paragraphs. Increase paragraph spacing. Click on that. Click OK. This was clearly not the best document for me to try and work with. It's actually taken quite a bit of time to get this going. In this particular case, with this particular document, I think I would have to look at it a lot more differently. Try clicking on this, modify style, and see if it lets me do it again. Or maybe just go to format, paragraph.
Okay, so
It currently says it's got a spacing of 12 point before and 12 point after.
spacing after,
Yeah.
I mean spacing after the paragraph.
It says, but I've also got here ticked this box which says, don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. Okay, so if I untick that and then click OK, let's see what happens. Now we've got it. So I just had to find out what the problem was here. And it was probably somewhere in the old formatting that was just hanging over. Okay?
Can I just ask something? Like,
Sure.
because this is not the first page. On the photo panel, I want to click format and then delete all the photos. Here the word format means something different.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not like formatting your disk, this is formatting your document.
So that means, so for here format means change or get rid of the settings.
Probably more like adjust the style.
Adjust the style.
Yeah, the format of the document, the style of the document. So currently, that was what my problem was. And again, with your question, I kind of figured I'll spend another 30 seconds on trying to figure this one out. If I can't, we'll go somewhere else. You know, So I just thought, how long is it going to take me to fix it? If I hadn't got it first time, I probably would have just gone, right, let's go to a different document, because this one has become problematic. And the reason it's problematic is because it is something that I took off the web and then I turned it into a PDF document, and then I copied and pasted the PDF document into my Word document. So there was a whole lot of formatting stuff that was coming along with it, which I didn't know about, and which Word also didn't clear with the clear formatting command. Okay, but see, as you can see now, this has suddenly become a lot more easy to read for the reader, because they can go, right, this is one particular idea, this is another idea. I have an idea of what might be going on with my computer too. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff open, which I'll just quit.
You might say something that takes, it might be interesting to read.
It is a good read, yeah. So sorry, while I just go through quitting everything else that's open at the moment. Let's just find Word again. There is this one too. There we go. Okay, so this hopefully will be a bit quicker and easier now. Then maybe not. Okay, so this is just ways of actually making your document easier to follow. Okay, so one thing that didn't happen in this one. Oh, I'll just go through this one for a couple more things. Okay, so this is, I've just changed that to a heading 1, which is good. I've got I'll just a word. This bit down here, which is a heading 2, but I don't particularly want it to be all caps. So I'll pop in and change that again, modifying style. And let's just say change it to times 16 or 14 instead of 18. And let's just get rid of the big gap underneath it. It says that there's nothing before and nothing after. So again, this must all be legacy stuff from the previous document that I copied. Okay, and this may well happen with you, as you'll have a whole lot of extra legacy stuff coming over from your other documents that you're copying and pasting in.
Yeah.
Maybe a better way to do it would have been for me to just go clear formatting 5 or 6 times until it really purged itself.
Right.
You know, that might have been a better idea than doing this. I'm just kind of thinking about how that could, just thinking about ways to solve this particular problem.
Yeah.
Maybe close the document and reopen.
Exactly. Closing your document, reopening is always a good idea.
And when you just changed that heading to all capitals,
Yeah.
if you're at the start of your document and you
Mhm.
still haven't gone through it
Mm-hmm.
and labeled things as heading 2, you're still going to go, when you go to all the subsequent
Yeah.
and mark them. But let's say you've been through your document, you've marked them all as heading 2,
Yeah.
consistent, and then you go back another day and you want to change one, then you will just change.
They'll all change, yeah. Yeah. So go through your document and go everything that might be a heading,
Yep.
just call it a heading,
Yep.
whatever heading number you want to give it,
Yep.
and then you can that will become totally consistent for the entire document.
You still have to go manually and select them.
Yeah,
Just the first time.
just the first time, yeah. So if you haven't given things headings to start off with, then you'll have to give things headings. Word won't kind of go, when they wrote, "Hi, my name's Steve," that's normal. But when they wrote, "This is really important," that's a heading. It just won't figure that out for you. Okay. So I'm just going to... this is another thing too. It's actually come up as a link. For some reason it was a link in there as well.
No, so the link in the text.
Well, this is actually a hyperlink.
You didn't know.
No, I didn't know. So now I can go to hyperlink and go remove hyperlink. So that's probably
so
what
when
was
you
causing
when
me
you just
problems.
when you select read more and you right click, the option of remove hyperlink comes up, or
Yep.
is it only because you got something in the style?
No, it could happen for anywhere. I could highlight that, click on it,
You
Go to
click
hyperlink,
and then you can-
right click,
okay.
yeah. and then I can turn it into a hyperlink.
I found that I had experienced a different way to remove the
Uh-huh.
hyperlink. If you copy in a link from the internet,
Yeah,
it has to be down as one of your references.
yeah,
And you change, like the color is blue.
yeah.
Then you change the color to black and you remove the line that's on them. And then the hyperlink is gone.
Ah, okay.
But that's treatment.
Yeah. Let's say give it no points afterwards in this case. Yeah. So now that it's not a hyperlink, I've done that. But there's a lot of ways you can go around doing this. You know, I'm just showing you the ways that I've found the easiest to get stuff done. Okay, now there's read more. And that goes on to my other headings, other bits. So let's just have a look through here and see how we've got these numbered bits here. What I might want to do is call them headings as well. Okay, so I'm just going to make that one a heading 3, where it says number 2. I'll also make that a heading 3. So this is the process you'd go through. There's number 3. I'll call that heading 3 as well.
Can I just ask you, when you click once on a line, it highlights the whole.
When I click once to the left of the line, see how I'm clicking to the left of that line?
Then it can
Yeah.
Okay, that's a kind of
Yeah. It's 5. How many more have we got? This one. So I'm just going through this and just marking all these as headings now, okay? Here's a whole bunch of readers' comments. It's all good. Maybe we won't worry about those for the moment. Just delete them. Okay. So these are all my headings. I've just given all these things headings. It's all good. Now, remember how I said it's actually really, really useful, a useful way to actually help you navigate your document. Let's say now what I wanted to do was, after this heading, I wanted to put in a table of contents. Okay? I can go here. Now this is really handy. Just click underneath my heading or wherever I want my table of contents to go. Go up to Insert. Scroll down to Index and Tables. Release on that and put in Table of Contents. Click on Table of Contents. It's currently saying it will show to 3 levels, heading 1, heading 2 and heading 3. Okay. And let's say use traditional style or classic, whatever. Let's try classic. I'll just run with that. Click on this and it's put it in for me with all the page numbers.
because we all use some headings.
Yeah. How to do a table of contents in 3 seconds.
That's awesome.
It is.
Okay,
Isn't
one
it?
question before
Yeah.
you do that. When you were at heading number 1 and the cursor was at the right, did you hit the turn for the cursor to come on here?
With this heading?
Yeah. If you go back and-
Yes, I probably did. Because,
because before you said never do this.
Yeah. so, as you can see, there's no gap between these two at the moment.
Okay.
All right?
And
So, to cause a gap that I knew I wanted,
you hit
I hit return because I knew I wanted to put some stuff here.
And then you put table of contents.
Yeah.
And then you select heading 3s and then you pop some more.
Well, I'll just go through it again. So I've created a space for my table of contents. Okay, I went to Insert, down to Index and Tables, clicked on Table of Contents, gave it a particular style. Let's try formal, modern, doesn't matter what really. I can choose the number of levels I want to show at. If I had 4 or 5 levels that were important here, I could have said to show down to level 5. I've said show page numbers and right align page numbers, so the page numbers will go to the right of the document. Click OK, and there it is. Okay?
I have a question. If you want to change the heading somewhere down, which is then number 7, let's say.
Okay.
If you change it there,
Mhm.
then change accordingly further down in the text, vice versa?
No, this is the table of contents. Okay, so it won't actually change the headings. What I can do though is click on that number 6 and it will take me to that heading. Okay,
Then you go down to 6.
so let's go down to that heading.
Now you want to change it?
Let's say I want to change that to a heading
No,
2.
you want to change the words.
Okay, so I'll do both those things. Change to heading 2 and new heading. Okay,
And then also you want it to update accordingly.
yep.
It
So
does-
now I've done that. I can do 2 things. I think there's 2 things. One I've found is more useful than others. I can click on, I think I can right click on this and see where it says update field. I'll see if this works. I'm not sure. The way I usually do it is just to put in a new table of contents. Update page numbers, update entire table. There we go. That's changed in my table of contents.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because you might want to edit.
Yeah.
Your heading.
This is why using styles is really, really good. You know, it's amazingly useful.
That's fine.
Just imagine how long it would have taken you if you had to go through this. Okay? Yeah.
Just a question. I
Yeah.
don't know if this is getting ahead of it.
Yeah.
Just want to stop. But so I noticed that there is a table of figures function, very similar to the table of contents.
Yep.
And I was just wondering, in the apply a style thing, the style selection, I can't see anything that says
Yeah.
figure.
That's okay.
So chill out.
We'll get to that
Yeah,
soon.
cool.
All right?
Sorry.
It's actually good because all of these things are fully integrated, but there's just one more thing I really want to go through before we do that. So I'm just going to change that back because I think it's kind of looks, I don't really want to leave that bit there. I'll pop back down here and I'll change this back to a heading 3. Okay? So I think there's too much of a gap between my heading 3s, so I'm just going to go modify style and paragraph, and after I'm going to give it a no points after. So then my heading 3s go straight to the document. There's not that gap for my eye, all right? Automatically update. Because I've pinched this from somewhere else, there's a whole lot of extra things I need to put in. If you'd written this document yourself, it probably would have all of these things like automatically updating, add to template and so on, would already be highlighted. So I'll click OK. Didn't seem to do much. Maybe what I could do with, maybe it's something to do with my normal style. See how my normal style has a big space above it as well? I could just go into normal and go modify style, paragraph. Oh, I've got 12 points before, so I'll just drop that down to 0 points before. Click on OK, and look, did it for everything.
The whole document.
The whole document.
Everything that's normal.
Everything that was normal has just changed. I might think there's still too much of a gap there. Yeah. So I won't go for 12 points after, I'll just go for 6 points after. Whoa, everything changed. I've also, but what's really painful now is I've probably also changed all my page numbers, haven't I? because suddenly everything's more condensed. There's less gaps between things,
Yeah.
smaller spaces.
Okay, so that actually fits a little question in my lecture there. So for example, sometimes you kind of, maybe it's a layout thing. You want the paragraph to finish and not just go to the next page. So when you change something, it moves around. So if you then would like to put some more space in a particular place, because of
Some
the
space
way,
in a particular place.
then you need to go and say in between that sub paragraph and the next.
Yeah.
I want to leave the rest of the page empty, and then I start the next, not chapter or chapter text, beginning of the first page. That doesn't, it's not consistent with all the normal text. So
Okay. So this is where it's worth thinking about how people are going to read your document. If you've got a large piece of white space, at some stage people will think that you've actually reached the end of the argument that you're making in that particular section. Okay? If you want to leave some large white space and then just go to the next paragraph, it's probably not such a good idea.
No, so that's at the end of a big chapter.
Okay, we'll get to that. All right?
Okay.
It's modify styles. Okay? That's all we need to do. So, and I will get to that. So now I've got my table of contents is probably different because section 10 was on page 7, but maybe it's not anymore. So I can just highlight this, go insert, index and tables, table and contents, simple, click OK. Do I want to replace the selected table of contents? Yep. And there we go. Oh, it didn't really change it, but it did put that back where it was before. Section 7, how it was before.
Why are the blue arrows not the same distance from
Because what I asked this to do was to align my numbers to the right. Okay? When I went into insert, index and tables, see how I said clicked on right align page numbers? That meant it will push them all to the right. So Word has just said, we've got a big bunch of stuff to put before the right. We've just got to put in white space, okay? And that's what Word did by putting in those little blue arrows. If I wanted to get rid of them, I can just click on this little backwards P thingy up here, and that gets rid of all of my formatting marks, like these things.
What's the name of that?
Don't know. For me, it's always been the backwards P thing, you know. That's what it looks like, so I'll call it that. There we go, and now they're all gone. But as you can see, because I put that carriage return there, we have this big lump of white space, which maybe isn't all that useful. So I'm just going to get rid of it. Oh, I turned this into the same heading and value as that. I can just click on this piece of the document and go normal. And it's gone back to normal. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've been also dealing with big documents recently, and this is very useful. I need to start trying to highlight some things. So when I've been trying to figure out what is going on, I highlight if there's a right section, and I want to know what's going on. What are the settings for it that comes after that section and before? I highlight the bottom line, the right space between, and the next. And then I go and see.
Yeah.
How do you identify the way you were that white space and see what's going on?
Click on that. And it shows me all of my formatting documents. So this is how I find out what my formatting is in my document. Okay? This gives you everything. As you can see, there's little dots between each word.
That shows you. When you work, you have that on most of the time?
Depends on what I feel like.
Once you go, you don't have it, but when you want to know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I'm just writing, like in my way of writing things, what I like to do is come up with an idea, then think of all of the things that might be interesting to that idea, and then I'll just write them down as, say, maybe 5 or 6 words, you know. And then, and I'll really just brainstorm, just spew them on the page. Then I can look at them again and think, oh, that bit's more important than that bit. So maybe that bit could be a heading 2, and that bit could be a heading 3.
And then you start.
and then I start. Yeah, and then I can, because what that does for me in the way that I like to work is it helps me compartmentalise the bits that I'm talking about. So one might be like drummer, right? One heading might be paradiddles. The next heading might be kick drum. So I can write paradiddles knowing that I've got a whole lot of stuff to write about paradiddles. And I bung my 200 words in about paradiddles. Then next one, kick drum. And then next one, Levon Helm's left hand, and so on, And then you just write about those bits. But what I've done is actually organise my document. A couple more things just about finding a way around your document. I'm just going to click off this styles thing so that we can see a little bit more of this page. Is if I go to view, I can go to sidebar and see how there's this fantastic thing which says navigation. I can click on that and it shows me all my headings. So now, say if I was thinking there was something really smart that I wrote in a bit later, and I'm not sure if I'm repeating myself, I can just go to navigation and click on that bit that says submit 10, takes me straight to submit 10.
Just click on it and it comes.
Yep.
Okay. Just click once.
How to use Word to write your thesis.
Game changing.
It's game changing. It is.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's you and pretty much everybody else who's done this. Yeah. So this is the process. And this is why it's really good. Like I say to all of my students, do this. Have an argument with me, have a feeling about it, have a kind of better idea, go for it. And then we'll do this. Yeah, it's a bit like saying you don't have to use a clutch on your car. Yeah, all right. If you don't want to, don't. But so anyway, so that's kind of really cool. Just as a way of navigating a document.
So that's view, navigate.
Yep, I'll just go through it again. View, sidebar, navigation. Okay. Yeah, that'll take you around. You can go to do thumbnails, which will be all your pictures. Again, it just really depends on what works best for you. I like navigation kind of things. Okay, so we're just about to hit the steak knife soon. But wait, there's more. Because you know how we have this little bit up here which says view? You can also view your document as if it was a web page, which is kind of handy. Just go to view, web layout. You can view in draft, which is a much quicker way to just work your way around the document because it doesn't try to put in all the pictures and so on. See how it's given us a great big blank bit where that picture
Also,
is?
when it's draft, just to show the photos.
No.
Because I usually show the print.
Yeah. It depends. That's kind of really useful if you've got a very large document with a whole bunch of photos in it. Well, it means that the computer doesn't have to try and redraw your picture every time. Yeah. So if you can imagine, your computer is actually trying really, really hard, like right at the moment, the computer's going, that little bit there, make it black. That little bit there, right next to it, make it black. That little bit before it, make it white. And that's groups of numbers. Okay? And the computer's busily doing that. So the less mucking around you have to do, the better. It also means it's a hell of a lot easier to just scroll through the document and so on, if the computer's not busily trying to redraw pictures. But this is my absolute favourite and the reason that I've stuck with Word for such a long time, apart from this and the fact that it allows me to integrate so well with EndNote, which we'll get to, is this thing called outline view. And what this does is give you an outline of your document. Okay? So here, it seems to have got rid of all of the, or it looks like it's got rid of all of the formatting, like the bolds and things. But what it has done is give me a layout of where my document is. So let's just pop back to print layout and we'll go to section 7 and see how there's all these words under section 7. They're currently everything that's sort of, maybe you could think of it as the subpart of section 7, okay? That's stuff that's in section 7. If I go to view, outline, and think, Outline's actually changed a bit now. I'll get it to just show to level 3. So now all it's doing is showing me level 3s. So these are all my headings.
The heading is
Heading 3s, yeah. So what's really handy for me with this is I can actually see where the major things that I want to talk about are and the order in which they are. Okay, so I can go, first thing is, one way to fail your PhD is to submit an incomplete and poorly formatted bibliography. Another way is to use phrases such as some academics or all of the literature without mitigating statements or references. That's the next thing that she said is that Tara Brabazon has put in her document. And then she talks to this particular statement. Okay, I'll just make it a bit bigger. The next thing is fill the bibliography with references to blogs, online journalism and to textbooks. Okay, she says that's a good way to fail your thesis. Now, and she says leave spelling mistakes in the new script. I'll just get rid of that bit that says new heading. Or leave spelling mistakes in the script. I might think that that's actually the most important thing. Okay? And regardless of what you think, in the Western world we think hierarchically. The first thing you say is more important than the second thing you say. Okay? So for me, I might think that it's actually better to pop this one up here. Okay? Now, here comes the magic. If I go back to print layout, 7 is at the top, underneath the introductory stuff. Okay? Along with all of the stuff that was underneath it, before we got to the next heading of the same heading value.
What is this, 7?
Yeah, that's because it was called. This is because the words were in the text were 7 dot space leave space spelling. Okay, it won't renumber it for me because I didn't actually ask it to number any of those things. Okay, but what I could do if I wanted to change those numbers is to say go back to outline, keep it at this particular heading, and then I can just go 1. Let's in fact bung this one down the bottom. I'll just grab that, pop it down there, because it's easier. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, let's pop it up here because I'm lazy, and let's just change that number to 7. And now I've just completely rearranged my entire document. Okay? Really, really handy. And this is why it's also really good for me, and I think what I try to encourage my students to do is to really break your document down into little sections. Because it's much easier to write 10 100-word essays than it is to write one 1,000-word essay.
So yeah, so when you think about chunks, chunks.
Yeah, just write little bits. It's also really good for your reader because you've got one bit that's all about one thing. And when we start thinking about writing 1,000 words or 2,000 words, we can start meandering and moving from one point to another. Fair enough? Okay?
That was in view, so you select the whole document and go to view?
No, you don't select anything.
Right.
You just go to view,
Yeah.
choose outline.
Oh, great, thank you.
Yeah. So I could go to print layout, and now we're going to print layout. Seeing I've changed everything.
So outline shows the headings of the table of contents.
The outline shows the headings, okay? Don't think the outline shows the table of contents. It just shows the headings, all right, to the value that you want them to be at. The table of contents shows the table of contents. So I'm just going to click on this thing again, my table of contents, go insert, index and tables, table of contents. Maybe I'd like to change it, so I'll look at the styles. No, that's not letting me do what I want to do. Cancel it. I'll just figure out a way to change the. Let's see, from template. I could change it from template. If I go to from template, then I can modify it. So here I'll modify it to table of headings 1. I'll have to change that to Times New Roman. Then I'll go to table of headings 2, modify, change that to Times New Roman, and so on. Click OK, 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 OK. It's just done the heading 1's table to the Times New Roman. So I just have to go in there and change that back again. I don't know what happened here. I should just did that. Just click on, something else got caught up in my table of contents. But I can just change that back to normal. Okay. So as you can see, like, this is a really easy way to just start arranging your document. Okay? Yeah?
No, sorry, I was just saying
Okay.
myself.
Yep, cool. So that's what, it's really, really handy. I can't tell you how useful it is to use headings. Okay? Hopefully it's kind of getting in there. I'll say it again. It's amazing how useful headings are. They're really incredibly useful for so many things, not least of which is how to make sense of your document. Another thing that you can do, say if you're using headings like this, is say I might click on leave spelling mistakes in the script or whatever it is, you know, that I'm wanting to write about, and then go, I've got another idea, but that will work really well here, and just click straight to it and start writing. Okay? So it's really good. It's almost like setting up your foundations and then starting to build your document, instead of hoping that the foundations come while you're building your document. No house has ever gone up by putting the roof on first. Yeah.
You sound very sure.
Well, I've got the roof. Nothing, it's on nothing, so you know. Yeah, my wife is a building designer and she would recommend starting from the bottom up. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. So this is why styles and headings are exceptionally useful. They're really, really good for doing stuff with. Okay. So again, in this particular document, if we go up here, we've got this picture. So, you know, when you're putting pictures in your work, you usually need to give them a name. I think she's just put this in here to kind of look cute, which is okay. I'll just change the size of it a little bit. Look, my document has changed with it. But what I'll need to do is actually name this picture, so that then the person who's reading it knows why that picture is there. So if you just click on the picture, right click on it, and then go to Insert Caption. Okay? Click on Insert Caption. This is called Figure 1, and I can give it some other text now. And I'll call this one Feet with an Arrow. Okay? I've just decided to call it that. I can give it a position, and a label will be Figure, and its position is below the item, and the numbering format is numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay? So I'll click Yep, okie dokie on that one. I could also maybe click on Auto Caption. Or maybe not. I'll cancel that. So I'll go back, Insert Caption, Figure 1. I like kind of colon, Feet and Arrow, not Fet and Arrow. Okay, and there it is. That's captioned now. Okay, let's go to this one. Oh, that was also a hyperlink too. So I'll go back to my Word document. Could do. Maybe it has or it hasn't. I'm not sure. I'll just click on this and go to hyperlink. and delete that remove link. Cool, done. So now hopefully this is just a picture. I'll just expand the size of that. Looks pretty grainy. That's okay. I can right click again on that, go insert caption. It's automatically figured out that it's figure 2 that I'm putting in now. Okay? Yeah. So you don't have to remember, when you've got 78 figures in there. Yeah. So colon.
I just realised that I didn't actually click on the images in the captions.
Right.
I just selected the space below the...
No, you have to.
I also wanted to roll it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that be correcting my table contents?
No, because these are figures.
This is the list of figures on the table.
Yours has. That's interesting.
And it's a good one with the figures.
Okay. Yeah. You have to be very careful with calling things what they are. So in this case, it's my figure 2, but we'll get to that. Figure 2, blurry guy. Okay. There we go. I spelled it wrong, so if I click on here, there he goes. All right. Yeah.
And they're always in italics like that? Can I change that?
I could highlight. Well, if this is my caption style, okay?
Yeah.
So if
Which is now in
which
styles.
is now in styles, I can click on that. It says it's a caption.
So you highlight the captions bar, and then you went back to,
Yeah. What I did was I highlighted the caption,
and then you go.
and then it told me that the current style that I'm highlighting at the moment is called caption. I can click on that, go modify style, Times New Roman, let's make it Times New Roman 10, get rid of the italics, automatically updates, add to template, and there we go.
So this add to template and automatically update is important to
Yeah.
have to the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It normally goes to that, but then because this document came from somewhere else, it didn't go to that. So normally it would update your stuff for you immediately. But if you're having troubles, just kind of go through it very, very slowly and go, have I ticked the right boxes? Have I read all of the words next to ticking the right box? Because sometimes it's a bit like, the words might be, change this, except if you really don't want to because you'll blow up your car, and you just go, change this, all right. So it's always a good trick to just read all the words. So see how these have changed? Yeah.
I was going to ask if you've got any tips on inserting photos. Do you just insert and
Yep.
then...
They drag immediately.
I find it better to go up to insert. So say, well, let's just put one in. So let's say,
And what's the resolution if you prepare the photo?
I don't do that. So I don't use Photoshop. So I just go for whatever the best resolution I can find is.
So then the document is bigger.
The document has a larger number of megabytes it takes up, yeah. You have to think, you need to think through all of this sort of stuff. Because the other thing is that when you submit your thesis, you will need to be able to submit it online. And if you have a 70 megabyte, or if you have, say, a 2 gigabyte image in it, it's not going to like that at all.
As well, I also realized, because I was on the Photoshop photos, I have to prepare the photo for a Word.
Yeah, you have to, yeah.
So if you print out a page, it's 21 centimeters across, in 60 it's 19, so I recommend 18, and not 300 gigabyte,
Yeah,
maybe 150.
yeah,
So my image is 500K, not 10.
yeah.
But I don't know more specific.
I try and do all of these things on a case-by-case basis, basically. If I was presenting this to an architecture document, where they may want an architecture journal, where they may want very high resolution images, and the publishers might be prepared for very high level images. then I would I'd write to them and say, what resolution images should I use? And ask them
And
to
I
tell
think,
me.
if you publish in a paper, you would usually put the high-res image in the world.
This is why I would ask.
Yeah.
You just ask. So let's just have a go. So here I've decided I wanted to, well, actually, let's put the image in just after this I'll write in putting in a new image. Put in the carriage return to create the space for it. Okay. Now, sorry?
I didn't have that, it was going, all four was changing from that in the last one before.
Yeah. So I'll put in the carriage return, I'm putting in a new image, go to insert, pictures, picture from file, so I'm just going to look for all my GIF images, and again, the place you're publishing might want JPEGs, might want MPEG-4s, it might want GIFs, it might want whatever. They should tell you. So I'm going to stick in that GIF, bung it in there, and there it is. Cool. So that's what I find is, for me, is the best way to do it. Like, it consistently works. Now we're going to want to caption this. So go to, click on the image, insert caption. This one is now called Figure 1.
Because it's a big one.
That's right, because it's the first one. Okie dokie. Let's see what happened further down. This one has renamed itself Figure 2. Isn't that handy? Yeah. And then what I can do now is, after my table of contents, put in a carriage return, pop up there, go to Insert, Index and Tables, Table of Figures. Click on that.
You need a page for that in the thesis, right? You need a separate page just for that.
Maybe.
I mean, that's not often what I see in the thesis.
Okay, well, then that's,
Page with the figures.
yeah, page for table of figures, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all cool. I'm going to click that on in there now, and it's put it in. Awesome! With where they are on the pages, and everything's numbered. Okay. I'll just give this a title. Table of figures. Cool. And I just want to highlight this bit, don't I? So I'll click on that, and let's make that a heading 2. And now it's called a table of headings, table of figures. Just before my table of contents, I'll pop this in as a table of contents, and I'll make that a heading 2 as well. Okay. So there's my heading 2s. There's all my other heading 2s here. That's a heading 2 as well. Yeah. Cool. So that's kind of done. Now, you know that thing that you asked about putting page breaks in between significant changes or significant new sections of your document?
More space.
Well, you asked about like a page break or more space.
Yeah, page break, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll show you a way to do this. Now, so I might decide that this, how not to write a thesis, should actually be the title of my document. So I'm going to click on title, and now it's become a title, okay? It now has the section title. And I'm going to say that maybe all of my heading 2s should have their own, should start at the start of a new page. Okay? So my heading 2s in this particular case, actually I'm going to change that to a heading 1, but let's just change that to heading 1, okay? I also go to my table of figures and I'll call that heading 1, and my read more section, I'll call that heading 1 as well. Okay? Just decided to do that, just because I wanted to. And it's also incredibly easy to undo. You know, if I don't like it, just go back. But the reason that I wanted to do this today, of changing them to heading 1s, is now I can go into heading 1, modify style, and if I go to paragraph, I have indents and spacing, so it's auto before, auto after. I'll just maybe change that to 0 after, and I'll also change it to 0 before. Okay, I can go to line and page breaks, and keep window and orphan control. That means don't leave a big gap underneath it. So, but I can just do this and put a page break before. Okay. Click on that. Okay. Okay. And now, in a perfect world, table of figures starts on a new page. Table of contents starts on a new page.
Why are the two things ticked with next and keep lines together are ticked? That was unticked.
On yours they're ticked.
Yeah.
Well, in this particular case, the keep with next is, so if you were right down at the bottom of your page and you wanted to put in your new heading, and then the next sentence came on the following page, what keep with next would do is go, this heading belongs to the bit that comes afterwards, so I'll put them all on the same page.
Right. I always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Is that a consistency thing again?
Again, consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, just think about it. You've got some person who's reading this stuff who's going, oh my God, why did I decide to do this? They're tired, they haven't done all of their undergraduate marking yet, and their supervisor's on the case saying, why haven't you applied for that grant? They don't want to have to try and figure out what you're doing. You know, they don't have to want to put effort into understanding you. They don't want to have to try and find out, why is that big black stuff at the bottom of the page? You know, just make it easy for them. Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, this latest fashion trend of the deconstructed coffee. Who wants one? You know, I don't want to pay $7 for something I have to put together myself. I just want them to say, when I say espresso, they say, okay. That's the limit of my conversation, all right? For me, you know, others may want to have a nicer relationship. You know. But as you can see now, all of my new headings have just gone to these new pages. It just starts.
And that was in where? Sorry to ask.
It's exactly the same process. You're modifying a style.
Modifying the style of headings.
Yeah, well, so in this particular case,
Heading 1 and
here's,
modify style.
yeah, heading 1,
Modify style, yeah.
heading 1, click down, modify style.
Yeah.
Now, then I went to format, paragraph,
Yeah.
line and page breaks. I'll click on those two together and see what happens.
Okay, great.
But do you recommend to play around until it works for you?
Yeah, until it works for
maybe
me.
in the beginning of working on a document and further in,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
play around and try to make sure that...
Yeah. yeah. I'll also click on automatically update for this. Cool. So, we'll just have a quick look at that thing called cross-referencing now. So, say in this part of the document, I might want to put in something about my arrows and shoes. So it says, don't leave spelling mistakes in the scripts, okay? And I might put in also, don't, in fact, don't write don't,
Yeah.
write do not. Abbreviations like that, a little bit slack, you know, a little bit too kind of friendly, all right? Do not put in useless images. like the one on. Now, I know this is an image that I'm about to cross-reference, okay? Because I'm going to talk about this particular image here, okay? So where did I put that stuff? Up a bit, yeah. So if I put a space in there, I can go to Insert. Where is it? Cross-reference, okay? Now this can give me reference types. So the reference type that I'm actually wanting to look at is a figure that I'm wanting to cross-reference. And it's given me the list of all of my figures. Okay, so I'll say, like the one on figure 2, feet and arrow, insert. But then the next thing I'm going to want to do is put in the page number as well. So I'll just go insert, and I'll also, so it's inserting the entire caption. I'll also tell it to insert the page number.
So cross-reference, that means that you're talking about figure 2 later in the text.
Yeah. So it's like, also don't put in useless images like the one, change that to in figure 2, called feet and arrow, comma, on page 4. Okay? So now, if I was to say, pop in here, so that's saying, that's referencing the previous image. I could also say, this is discussed further in one of my other headings. Okay, so I can go, this is discussed further in insert cross-reference, and in this case I'm going to go to a heading, go to that one, okay, insert, heading text, and then the page number, insert, close it off. I'll pop my marker in the wrong spot. 9. I'll just use my arrows to get me between the exegesis and 9 on page 9. This is also really helpful for your reader, because if you're talking about something that's really useful and you know you're going to be talking about it again in 15 or 16 pages, you can say something like, this is discussed in greater detail on page 28. And then the reader's going, oh, so I've got to get to that. The reader's not going, I don't understand, or this really needs more detail. You're telling them that, yes, it needs more detail, and this is where you will find it. And then your reader's going, oh, okay, I know we're going to get to it, instead of, why didn't they explain that in more detail? Again, it's all about making life really easy for the person who's reading the document. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
So, what did you say?
When you go into cross-referencing figure, you can select hyperlink. So that wherever you've written out that image, that figure,
Yep.
when you tick and you cross-reference it, you just click on that, maybe just click on it and go straight to the page.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll go straight to the thing that you've cross-referenced it to.
And that's only if you send your Word document. If you save it as a PDF.
If you save it as a PDF,
Well, that is all.
depends on whether you've saved it as a rich PDF, I think. I'm not really sure.
I mean, you can send your Word document to your supervisors to the feedback, but once it's the final thesis, you save it as a PDF and no one can.
Yeah. but you may be able to include in the PDF the hyperlinks.
Oh, yeah.
So you tell Adobe to say include hyperlinks.
And then you'll jump to the page?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, maybe. I haven't done it, so I can't say definitively.
Okay.
And then maybe, well, I think I have done it, but what I'll usually do with these things, if I know they're going to go to somewhere else, is actually send it as a web page. Because you know how you can go,
Send the word up to
Yeah.
the web page?
you can go view web layout.
Huh?
You'd also go view, save as, Word document, single file web page,
And that is,
or as a web page, or as a PDF.
and the purpose for that resources is to get a link to the
Yeah.
web page.
It depends on what's going to work for your reader. Remember, you're writing to a reader. Okay? And you're writing to a reader who's not your friend. Okay? That's a very important thing to remember. They're actually there to assess you. You don't know who they are. They'll probably, if they want to, they'll try and find out who you are. But at the end of the day, you get assessed on what you hand over. You don't get assessed on all the things you did previously. A very important thing to remember. Because you're actually trying to give someone else, you're trying to make someone else believe that you've come up with a good idea. And if they have to struggle to find out what that good idea is, you're taking steps backwards past. Okay? So is that kind of, these are really the main things, that they really help you actually navigate your document, help you write in a very clear and concise way, which is really useful. Okay? You know, it's, for me, I find when I'm reading things, I like them to come in small, easily understandable packages. I don't want to have to try and read through a whole paragraph, 300 or 400 words to try and figure out what the person's trying to say. I like it to come out straight up. Okay. So, is that kind of, everyone's sort of okay with the value of using headings? Really useful, fantastic for getting around your document. Have you got an idea now of how to actually use cross-referencing? And you can cross-reference anything. Okay? I can just highlight this bit of text. Oh, actually, I don't think I can save a particular paragraph unless I've numbered my paragraphs. But that's okay. It may be better to say up here. Say section 7 discusses something.
Now you just press the space and push the dot in. That is just what is selected, so that's that. The dot between all the words.
Yes.
It just shows that there's one space, and
Yeah.
there's one dot, and that is other one.
Yeah. At the moment,
It
because
just shows that when you press it.
I wanted to put in one space to then kind of write stuff that I wanted to.
Is that okay with you?
Yes. Anyone got any other questions or thoughts? Yeah.
I'm sure Word has a lot more functions that are very more and that are important. Or maybe it is a question. Does Word have other functions that are more that I might not know?
Very many.
So you could have another workshop?
Yeah, I could maybe do another workshop. We'll see how it goes.
Like let's say we do another workshop and I just been working pretty basic with Word. What would be the other things, the next three things you're trying?
Possibly using sections. They can be helpful. Yeah.
Just on that note, I haven't been able to figure out yet how to, because it seems like most introductions are page numbered with Roman numerals.
Yep.
And then chapter 1 starts with page 1.
Yep.
Should I just keep the introduction in a separate document? I can't figure out how to have
Yeah.
Roman numerals in the style one.
So what you do is create new sections. So in that,
Sections
yeah.
within the document.
In this case, say what I could do after my table of figures is click there and go insert, break, section break. Okay?
Is that something you do between chapters?
It depends. You could do that. I personally prefer just putting a page break between each heading. Yeah, each heading one or heading whichever it is it's using,
Between the chapters.
yeah, for your chapters. The reason for this is that you might find that, say for a heading, if I was to put in my section break here, put in the next page, just put in a section break, which we can see here, and it's put it up to go to next page. Now I might say go here and yeah. So now I can go inserts. Where is it? I haven't done this for a long time. Page numbers. At the bottom of the page, so first alignment's right, and the format here will be, say, Roman numerals. I can say start at 1, okie dokie. Let's see what happens now. Okay. Now with a bit of luck, there's my Roman numeral there. There's my Roman numeral there. There's my Roman numeral there. Let's see what happens down here. Now this has just started in my second section, it's gone back to normal numbers. Okay?
At 4, right?
At 4, because this is the fourth page. So I can't quite remember what to do here exactly, but I think if I go to insert page numbers, bottom of the page, format 1, 2, 3, start at 1, and not continue from previous section.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens. And what happened? Yep, that one's started Roman numerals.
Right.
Okay, so this for me is the only time to use sections. I have had other students who've put section breaks between each paragraph, and then what's happened is that they've started renumbering. Page numbers have started at the start of each chapter.
I had that problem once, and it was so annoying. I copied this something
Yeah.
from one document to another,
Yeah.
and I had pages 1 to 24, and then it started again from
Yeah.
1 to.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's because it was saved as 2 different sections.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't work it out.
yeah. So again, this is kind of up to you. I strongly recommend to all of my students you do all your work in one document.
What about the notes?
One document. Do everything in one document.
Because I have so many notes.
Do all your work in one document.
How can I put it all in one now?
Well, it's up to you. But this is what I recommend to my students when they start. You do everything in one document.
Yeah, so how would you do it? You're reading a book and you're taking notes. And
Well,
someone
then
might-
you take your notes on a piece of paper or somewhere else. But as soon as you're starting to write your thesis, use one document. Don't think I'll have a document for chapter 1. I'll have a document for chapter 2. You know, the stuff that you got to put in your thesis, put it into one document. Yeah. Because then you can start doing things like have all your headings. You can just kind of, you know, I can get to here and go,
Yeah.
you know. Now, yeah,
Okay, so I have it. Okay. So I think it makes total sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
So then everything in one document, because you really have to submit the thesis and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But over time, you have different milestones and submit to
Yeah.
supervisors to get feedback. Then how would you then, you save the document with a date, and then let's go. And then after you get feedback, you start to work more, continue to another document. It's the same way we say it with our
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
That's-
we actually have different documents, but it's the same as teaching
Yeah.
what times is
Yeah.
just dates. at
Yeah,
different time.
I recommend dates.
We do that.
Yeah. So it's like my great thesis, 1st of January 2018. My great thesis, 2nd of January 2018. Just resave it. Because there's also those times when you'll be sitting there going, I know I did something really awesome 2.5 months ago, I just can't remember it. Oh, I didn't save it. You know,
So it'll be an old one.
yeah, yeah. Because you will sit in there going, you know, I wonder what would happen if I, say, went to this, and then I got to show to level 3.
We will write that,
And then-
we can write it also in the thesis.
Yeah.
You have something. And it's pretty good, at least to go out from that.
It needs to what, sorry?
You have a chunk of writing that needs, you're editing it out, but you don't want to delete it, you want to keep it in another document.
Okay.
Which would be, let's say, notes for that chapter. I do that.
Yep.
So let's say I'm writing on the phone, chapter 2, then I have notes for chapter 2.
Good
And
idea.
I take stuff in and out.
Yeah. I'll just show you one more thing that's really handy. Okay.
And the main one in my notes. And I need to edit.
Yeah.
So
So
that's more than one.
I'll just show you a way to do that. So I've just removed all those page numbers. I can just go to, and I did it because I knew they were just headings, so I just went to outline view, because then I could actually get to each heading very quickly. Okay? So I'll just go back into print layout. It's chapter 3, and I've got rid of all of those numbers. That's cool. So there's a really good thing and in Word, which is reviewing your document. So see how there's this bit up here which says review? Click on that. Okay. And then you can put in track changes. This is really handy. So put in track changes. Now I might see this bit of the, see this paragraph here and think, that's kind of cool. Let's get this to go to, these things. I think, now that's kind of cool, but I might want to write some more stuff on it. So I can click on a note and go, this is cool, but needs developing.
So that's a comment to yourself for later.
Yeah, I'll just put it, give myself a note.
Edit both.
Yeah. I could also say, I don't know if I really need that particular, well, let's go to this one here. I might say, I don't know if I really need that. So while track changes are on, I'll just delete it. Okay?
And then
And
delete it and then it pops out to the right.
pops out to the right.
So
So
that's like, yeah, so that's, that would integrate the notes with the main
Yeah.
document like
yeah.
that.
So now if I see how it's set here to all markup, if I click on no markup, all of that's gone.
Then you get it back.
Yeah. I just go to no markup, just go say show
It's magic.
all markup.
So magic.
It is, and there it is back again.
Real magic.
It is real magic. Yeah. Yeah. So that,
But
that's
if you go to format and you get rid of all, then it's off.
format. The format has nothing to do with deleting. Format is about changing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could also just say, if I wanted to, I could highlight that particular paragraph, go to home, click on styles. This is my normal. I'll format it. Okay. Formatting for Word. I'll go to modify style and
But you can use that.
yeah, make it a new style. Let's do it. Let's make it. What would be a fun one? Tratoletto. Okay. 5-point tratoletto. That will be my new style. it while it was in review. I probably just decided it was a stupid idea and wasn't going to let me do it anyway. Word just decided not to do that. What it actually did do was create a new style for me. Maybe I didn't actually go to modify style, but instead create a new style. So now I can highlight this stuff and make it my Tratoletto style. You know? Or I can pop it back to normal.
For example, it's quite common that you use some quotes in your thesis, and
Quotes.
you want to be able to
Mhm.
do that in the same consistent way. You select a heading or something different from heading and then define. This is the
It's a
way.
style, yeah. So
A style.
I can highlight that. Now, what I might want to do is call it an indented.
And let's say you have the margins moved in a little bit.
Well, see how it's got this list of styles. Currently, it's got recommended styles. I can go to styles in use, so that's reduced it to all the styles that I'm currently using. Or I can go to all styles, and now I'll just scroll down until I can find one which says not list paragraph, not caption, not table of contents, body text, first line indent, body text indent 3, body text indent 2.
Is that a default quote?
Well, we have to find it, so we just have to go looking for it. Yeah. So I'll just scroll down until I can find the one that I want. Normal indent. Okay, so I might want it to go to that. And it will
With the
indent.
left margin.
Yeah. So, you know, usually when you're doing long quotes, say more than 20 words, it depends on the style that you're using, whether you're using Harvard or Chicago or APA or whatever. They all have very clear styles about what you should do with a quote.
Mm.
You know, a quote of more than 10 words should be indented in a subparagraph.
Mm.
So in this particular case, I've made it normal indent. I'll just go to styles in use, and now normal indent is there as well for the styles that I'm currently using. Go to modify the style, and instead of being 10, I'll just make it 9, because quite often those indents are also of a smaller size. And there we go.
There's a style that's for table of figures.
Yep.
I just tried to apply that to previously with one for table of figures. And something.
What actually happened,
That's
Russ?
messed
It
up.
separated the title that I had table of figures, which I applied a heading to, and formatted that with a page break, and it was all looking really good.
So have a look at the style that you have for table of figures. Go to modify style and see what it actually says it does.
Table of figures, modify style type, paragraph, or linked paragraph and character. I need to be on that.
Maybe just go through all the rest of it, then it could be in paragraph, and it might say that for a table of figures, what we do is put a page break beforehand.
I did that.
Well, what the style might say is do this. Okay.
To go through the settings.
Go through the settings, yeah.
I did modify style.
Yeah, just check what all the settings say. Because it might be that the setting for that particular style is to put a page break before, in which case it would have done it automatically for you. Yeah.
Oh, it's got style for following paragraph. No space.
This is in your
And normal
table of figures style.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just have to kind of check through it.
Yeah.
The thing is, with all of this sort of stuff, Word has a bunch of standard templates for a new document, such as headings are all blue. Okay, and if you just kind of stick with that, then it's going to be a lot easier for you. And then maybe make those changes later down the line.
Yeah.
You know. Again, we can sit there going, I don't want my headings to be blue, I don't want them to be Chancery, I don't want them to be this. But in the end, they're just bunches of pixels on a screen, and you can change them at any time you want. Again, it's also kind of fun when you're sitting there boring yourself stupid with how wonderful your thesis is, to actually check through what your script would look like if it was Tahoma or Palatino or whatever. You know, just ways to entertain yourself while you're not being particularly productive, but you want to convince your loved ones that you're actually working really hard. You know. So,
What's the message here?
I have no idea.
Something's going wrong. Oh, it's because I'm in track changes.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So I should just turn that off.
Yeah, turn that off and see what happens. So is that kind of, that's really useful stuff for just making it easy to write your thesis. Yeah.
So what I assume I'm going to leave this concept, not come back,
Yeah.
and I will write my thesis over it.
Yeah.
So, this is one way. Can I write my whole thesis and not think about sections or something? Do I need
Possibly. You don't need to do anything.
to- No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we didn't have time. No, we didn't have time to go to sections.
We did have a look at sections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's useful for the introduction.
Yeah.
What about, for example, something, I know we don't have time to cover everything, but something like appendix, do you have that as a separate file?
No, like I said, my strong recommendation is to put everything in the one document. If we wanted to put an appendix in there, you just go down to the bottom of the document, click on there, right, appendix.
Page change, and new page, and then page change.
No, what happened was that I clicked after my chapter 3 and that particular heading, and it assumed that the next thing was going to be a heading.
Click on the screen.
Yeah, so I just did that, clicked return, and then so I could then highlight that and tell it to be normal.
Impressive.
All right then.
Okay, thanks.
And bibliographies have their own particular kind of, we can apply all that you've just shown
Yeah.
us to bibliography.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
This class needs to be
Yeah, I didn't hear about this workshop before we